It's amateur season over here, guys. That's on me. What is going on, everybody? We got 8 games today. We're talking some NBA. I mean, we already had 5 minutes into the show or something. And I was like, man, I'm looking at the YouTube chat. Like, people are like, well, when are they going live? What's going on? All this. Next thing I know, I'm like, I didn't even click go live. So that's on me. We fired up the show on time. But, hey, we didn't have enough likes to start. So I'll just say that's the reason. I'm joined by JT. I'm joined by CDome. I haven't done a show with both of you guys. JT, it's been a little while, that's for sure. CDome a couple weeks ago. JT, I'll throw it to you first, though. What's going on, my man? I don't even know. I can't replicate everything we were saying. I feel like Holden right now. Holden, JSU, and Big T had the same thing a couple weeks ago. JT, man, I hope everything's going well. It's been a while. Hopefully, I get to see you a couple times. Spring training coming up. You might make your way down. March Madness. And we were talking a little UFC, so take it away, JT. I should put myself in a timeout.
Yeah, it's deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say back in the old days. But listen, yeah, we were talking. I am definitely going to see you at the Run Pure Sports March Madness party. Definitely making it out to Arizona for spring training. That's business for me. And then we were talking about a couple of things. One, CDome hasn't actually been to a UFC fight or, as far as I know, any MMA fight in person. And I've been to 6 or 7. One of them, a couple of them on the floor seats, a couple in other places, but one of the ones on the floor seats was the second fight between Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. And I was sitting in the area when they rolled Anderson Silva by on the stretcher. He was howling in pain. It's the wildest thing. It's like this big, huge party. Any of these, by the way, because I went to one in Atlantic City that was it wasn't a UFC. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was a Bellator one, actually. And they're just like huge parties. They have DJs. They play music in between the fights. And, they dim the arena when the fighters are getting ready to come out for every bout. It's just absolutely amazing. So I'm definitely going to see you several times over the next couple of months. And maybe CDome will sneak across the border and meet us in Vegas for that Johnny Bones Jones fight.
Man, you're getting me 6 to midnight. John Jones fight, March 4th. I hope multiple people. If any Run Pure Sports guys are in town, I'll be there. Hopefully we can meet up a little bit. JT, I really hope I see you. But yeah, I mean, nothing like floor seats. Man, you hear everything. Like, it's awesome. If you're anywhere in the whole arena, it's sick. But if you're on the floor, every kick, every punch, I mean, you hear it all. Man, what the fighters go through. Like, you're talking about the Anderson Silva situation. Like, man, just seeing, like every punch and like the scream, and it's violent. It's really like, you have to appreciate. If you've never been to one, you watch it on TV and all of a sudden, like, you get a different appreciation for what these guys go through. It's absolutely insane. CDome, I'll throw it over to you. Been a couple of weeks. What's going on? You're living the dream, man. Looking good today. What's up?
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate that. All this talk about all these events has me kind of looking forward to over the next couple months. Super excited for the Run Pure event. I know a lot of guys were chirping. I'm ready to put that to rest. So that'll be fun. Hopefully we can get a little more than just one-on-one action going. Maybe me, Title, and Dunkel against 3 people, because that's been the word on the street. So, I mean, listen, we got the bread. We're ready to perform. But if you guys really do go to this UFC fight, it's like JT said, I've never been to one, man. I've been wanting to go. And if it's a John Bones Jones one, I'm in. So if we can coordinate that, let me know. It's a 40-minute flight. I'm there.
I'm already got my tickets booked. I already got my flight booked. I already got it all. So I'm already in for sure. 40 minutes for me too. You get your tickets, CDome, we're there. So, hey, it's all up to you two to make it done. I'm already in.
I always stay at the win, man. I like a little roulette. I don't know about you guys, but Black 17
Blackjack. Black 17, okay.
All day.
Blackjack.
I like it because it's right next to Red 16. So there we go.
Okay. I'll take that.
I'll watch it. I'll watch you play some roulette. Not sure I'll jump in, but I'll play some blackjack. I don't know if you're a blackjack guy. There maybe hop in a little crap. Someone goes to CDome, ever look bad? No, of course not. He's looking a little extra spiffy today, though. All black and white. Got that color coordination. What else we got? Mike Carr, JT, spring training. You favor Arizona or Florida? Got a preference on that? Mike Carr's one.
Man, I love them both. It doesn't matter to me. The area, you can always find stuff to do, good food to eat anywhere you go in this country. That's why we're blessed here. So, no, I like both. I mean, I'm going to go see the Dodgers in Arizona, and I've got some business with the Phillies and the Pirates down in Florida. So that's going to be fun. Chunky Blue, welcome. Chunky Blue, CDome, if you remember, he's the guy who works in prison, and he says that he's off today, and he's at his mom's on her dial-up internet. And it makes me wonder, obviously we had deja vu already. Or is this like 1995? Are you on AOL or what was the other one? Netgram or Nutgram or something like that? Something like that.
I don't know, man. That might have been before my time. I know what AOL is. I don't know what Nutgram is or whatever's going on there. CDome, you brought up the word on the street. You, me, and Dunkel against. Who's talking about that? We'll definitely get 2s and 3s going, but who's talking?
I think JSU was chirping with Big T, and then they said like they'll add Mangone or Snyder or someone.
Ooh, okay.
I was like, listen, at the end of the day, I know I'm going to have this one-on-one situation. Not really too concerned whatsoever. I saw that, I guess, Big T takes off his shirt just to go to the bathroom because he sweats so much. I mean, that's a problem, bro. That's a health issue. So, I mean, if that's the case, I'm worried about this guy on the court.
Sadly, CDome, he's not the only one here who does that. This has been a big topic of conversation on some of the golf shows, and it's somewhat listen, it's unsanitary if we're being honest, the level of talk about that. So I'm just going to move on, but you're free to continue your line of questioning.
No. I was just going to say, so I'm looking forward to it. And, at the end of the day, competitor by nature. So, I'm not too worried though. But I was going to ask you, JT, when it comes to spring training in Florida, what's your favorite city that you've been to down there as far as the team?
They're all kind of similar. I will tell you, I have played in the Philly Stadium and the stadium that the Nationals and the Astros share. That's where I was at the end of last year. So I played. Yeah. The Legends field, the Steinbrenner field, I guess at Legends, which is the Yankees one. Of course, that's probably one of the nicest ones. That's really cool down there. And then Arizona, man. The Angels, I've been to the Angels Stadium the most, and it's right there. It's kind of in that Tempe area, so it's just a bit outside of Phoenix, and that's a pretty cool one. And then the Brewers, they share it with, I can't remember who the Brewers share it with, but I played in that stadium in Arizona as well. So they're all, I mean, you play on those stadiums, they're exactly the same as Major League Baseball stadiums. It's like there's no bad hops, there's not a blade of grass out of place. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I grew up in Vieira, so like Melbourne Beach. So like I used to go to the Nationals games all the time. They were fun. It was a good time.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to show me the way, JT, out here. Got to see the Brewers. I'll watch the Dodgers with you, of course. That's for sure. Yeah. We'll get to some games.
Yeah. And then JetBlue. One last thing, if you're in Florida, the JetBlue Park, that is the Red Sox. It's got a mini monster in left field, so that's pretty cool too.
That's
I went down
cool.
there. Yeah, it was right before COVID, the spring training of that year, actually, and went down there and saw Christian Vasquez hit just an absolute bomb way over that monster out back into the parking lot of the highway there. So pretty cool stadium there as well.
That's awesome. CDome, all I'm going to say, though, is I bet you Big T's watching or at least going to see this. And now Big T might be grinding this next month, CDome. He might try and put it to you a little 21-0 or something. So Big T's got game, but I mean, the cardio, if he comes in the same shape he came against me, you just got to work him, CDome. That's all you got to do. Work him until he falls. But I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Once I heard about your matchup with him, and then I just thought about, okay, this is not going to be any different than pickup games at LA Fitness, just getting physical, crashing the boards, bro. Like, it is what it is, so you just got to make them work. You got to make them work. And like I said, if it's a struggle at the toilet, it's going to be a struggle down low, bro. So let's go. I'm ready. I'm going to be very hyped up for that matchup.
He just texted me, CDome. He said he's immediately right now beginning a smoothie only diet until your match. So I don't know what that's going to do, but I think it's you certainly hit the motivation button there.
Hey, good, man. I'm just trying to change lives.
Hey, I hope so. Big T and I might we got a rematch, but we're gonna wait till Big T's in shape. So I don't know if it's March. We'll get it. If not, Big T and I will get our rematch sometime. CDome, Big T already locked in. VIP called me out too. VIP and I got a one-on-one game going as well. So please live stream. Yeah, a lot of these will be live stream. Big T's and I CDome, Big T's probably will. We'll live stream a lot of these one-on-one games. It'll be a good time. Talking NBA though, we got 8 games. Actually, before we get into this like smoothie of steak burritos. JT's loving that one. Hey, a steak burrito might be one of the healthier things Big T eats, to be honest, and he would admit that as well. So, hey, before we get it, we got 8 games today. We got some injury news. Before we get into it, though, CDome, you've been dropping a new piece of content in the Discord a lot of days. If you're not a member, or if you're a member and you're not in the Discord, you're definitely doing something wrong. If you're not a member, I don't know what you're doing. Use code JT15 for 15% off. But CDome, talk a little bit about the new piece of content you've been dropping in the NBA Discord. It really has helped a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I just got a little thing I've been playing with for the last month because I'm trying to get ready for baseball. But I've been applying some things to just normal things like salary projection and like the amount of times like a player shows up. To be honest with you, there's a lot of things like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like stocks, but like PEG, that certain, technical term. And so like, for this, it's kind of similar for basketball because you have like the projection, you have the salary, and then, you divide it by like the times of like that they show up in the optimal. So it's been actually working pretty good. And, I've just been posting it for people, helping them out in Discord. And, I'm curious to see like where it can go. Also for baseball too. So just going to continue to play with it. But yeah, no, it's like a little buyer selling PSO model. So far so good. So yeah, I mean, if you're a member, you get to be in there in the Discord. I mean, you got Nadesify in there, drop-in projections too. Like all these different tools, they help us out. So everyone's just trying to learn and get better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if people have like recommendations, like we didn't have the flow chart months ago, and now the flow chart's one of the best piece of content I think we have. It's absolutely been on fire. So much content over here at Run Pure Sports. Don't know what you're doing if you're not a member. Again, JT15 gets you 15% off your first month. SaberSim is also included in that. We got 8 games today, though. A broad overview. Not too much injury news we're waiting on, considering it's an 8-game slate, but definitely some important news. Rudy Gobert is questionable. He missed last game. I mean, he's been questionable for a while. He just kept playing and playing. Everyone thought he was going to play, and then we lost JT, it looks like. Let's see if I can get to this too.
Yeah, he said got to bounce.
There we go. I got this. I got to do the background, got a host. There's a lot going on right now.
Oh, damn.
But we got Rudy Gobert, who's questionable. He missed last game. If he misses, obviously Naz Reid would be a stud. Everyone would play Naz Reid. He absolutely went off last game. Embiid is questionable. Tyrese Halliburton's questionable. He returned yesterday. Played a boatload of minutes, now questionable. Jabari Smith is questionable. So that's the main piece of news right now. All the games are done. 7 of the 8 games are done by 8 p.m. Eastern today, 1 hour after lock, then one game on an island at 9 p.m. Eastern. So slate locks earlier than usual. We're going to dive into it, though. Looks like whenever JT comes back, we'll get him back in here. But we'll start with the first game of the night. Charlotte Hornets, Detroit Pistons, 240 total. Detroit is favored by 1. Going to the injury report for Charlotte, Cody Martin out, Kelly Oubre out. Not much there. As far as Detroit, nothing has really changed for them. Still missing Bagley, still missing Corey Joseph. CDome, first game of the night. Pretty big total in this one. LaMelo, Mark Williams, Bogdanovich, Alec Burks. I don't think we really see too much ownership in this one. LaMelo and Alec Burks, probably the most popular. What do you see in this first game?
Yeah, I mean, right away, I mean, you got LaMelo, who's been playing really good ball lately, under 10K. Now, from a fantasy perspective, it wouldn't look like it primarily out of a couple games, probably over his last 6. But I will say, though, tonight is a great matchup for him. They've struggled against guards. Him and Rozier are both in great spots. And the thing that really stands out tonight is LaMelo's projection is just really popping on a point per dollar basis. Yeah, he's getting about 20% ownership right now, but this should be a pace-up game. Should be a fun game also. If it stays competitive and relatively close, he just put up a triple-double against Milwaukee 2 games ago. We could easily see that tonight. We could easily see Rozier as well go off too. I mean, when it comes to guards, you really want to hammer guards against Detroit. They don't play defense. This is a great spot. And then on the flip side, Burks, I'm a little bit on the fence just because of the way those rotations happen with Casey in Detroit. You don't know what you're going to get sometimes, especially if they come out flat. And if Burks is starting, you can see him pull all the starters. It just gets very frustrating. I think we can go other areas. I also think, though, Jalen Duren, his projections very well tonight for his price point. You have to understand, Charlotte cannot defend bigs. They've struggled mightily. What I love about tonight with Dern is he's not getting the craziest ownership right now. I hope it stays like that. This could easily be a big night. If he gets 30 plus minutes, it would be fantastic. His projection on a point per dollar basis is really good. He's 5,400 on DK. So he is someone on the Detroit side that I really like. And then outside of him, this would be one of AP's flow chart plays. I was kind of looking more into it, but Bojan Bogdanovic, he's 6,600. It's probably a little pricey for a lot of people, but I will say there is upside there. He's dual eligible. A lot of it obviously comes from raw points, but he could easily have a 40-point plus night fantasy point wise. He's not getting much ownership right now. And then you said Mark Williams. Believe it or not, given his salary at 3,800, he does have a better projection than some other guys who are quote unquote chalk tonight. But he's center position. It makes it a little bit difficult. So I don't know if that's something I necessarily want to do. But everything else just really doesn't make sense for me as far as a GBP perspective outside of those first few guys. But I really think, Jalen Dern, you should really look into a little bit more if you're playing multi-entry tonight. He's also a flow chart play, believe it or not. I just checked. So these are things that you really need to take in consideration when looking at this game. And it's a first game, so you're going to have to make decisions early on.
Yeah, I mean, I can always get behind Jalen Duren. I mean, the dude has a lot of upside, as we've seen. They're going to need his size against Plumlee and Mark Williams. There we go. So JT had an emergency. Something came up. Hope everything is okay with JT. We got our guy Nate Zafai making his debut on the NBA Hardwood show. For those that aren't familiar with Nate Zafai, absolutely been crushing in the Discord. Him and Natty Ice over here do hockey. Absolute grind. I think it's the NHL All-Star break right now. Nate Zafai is always playing NBA too. Nate Zafai, what's going on, man? Excited to have you on. Appreciate you hopping on.
How we doing, boys? How we doing? Yeah, it's been a good little run over here, NHL All-Star break. So been doing some deep dive in NBA and happy to jump on here.
Yeah, I mean, you're always deep diving NBA, even during the NHL, the hard NHL. You're always in the streets.
Yeah, I play NBA every night for sure. So, yeah, it's definitely haven't done any NBA content, but help out in the Discord here and there. So, no, happy to help on.
Oh, yeah. Nate Zafai is like in second place too right now in the leaderboard of the single entry $100.
Yeah, $100, $6K to first to win that competition. I think there's 3 days left, so I'm gunning for it.
Nice. Yeah, if you guys don't know Nate Zafai, dude, the man is on absolute fire right now. Had 2 tickets to 888. Had a great night when our guy ID Holland, Jordan Neens, who's in the chat here, Nate Zafai, a bunch of RPS logos were up there. Nate Zafai's been crushing, so we appreciate having you on. We're just talking the first game. CDome just wrapped it up. Detroit and Charlotte. Not really much ownership I'm seeing. Maybe some LaMelo, maybe some Alec Burks. What are your thoughts on this one, Nate Zafai?
Yeah, so LaMelo, obviously a great spend up here. He's popping a lot actually in my projections and looking at stuff. I mean, if we talk about the flow chart over here, it's pretty great matchup here for point guards. And I mean, LaMelo just had a triple double basically at halftime last game, so he's on a tear right now. He's making a point out there, so I like him quite a bit. And on the flip side, I think Alec Burks is one of the best kind of mid-range plays on the slate that I'm seeing, at least. I have a lot of interest in him. I don't know. Obviously, it's going to depend what ownership kind of looks like. And it does look like Diallo is going to be back tonight, which I don't know what that's going to do, right, for this rotation. Definitely hurt some of the upside that on guys like Jaden Ivey, Alec Burks, Sadiq Bey. So I'm probably off of Detroit for the most part. I do like Alec Burks quite a bit, though, because I like that price tag. I still think he has a pretty solid ceiling, especially against Charlotte. Charlotte doesn't play defense. So definitely good spot there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first game of the night. It's the second highest total, 240, a big one. The last game of the night, 242 total. Of course, totals don't mean everything. It's about injuries, opportunity, and stuff like that, but should be an up and down game. LaMelo's been hot. I think Burks makes a lot of sense. And Jalen Duren, like CDome said, could be an interesting low-owned play. Brian said right here, Nate's got me by 2 points in the $60 WCFB the other night. The name is always up top, stud. All sports, Nate Zafai's up top, so we appreciate having him on. And congrats to you, Brian, right there, second place. You love to see that. We're going to keep it rolling, though. Haven't mentioned it once yet. Actually pretty good. 560 watching, 200 likes. You guys know the drill by now. We appreciate it. Like button, subscribe button, all we ask for from you guys. Let's keep it rolling, though. Second game on the slate, Sacramento Kings, Indiana Pacers, 233.5 total. Sacramento is favored by 3.5. De'Aaron Fox is out tonight for Sacramento. Obviously, very big news. Now, on the other side, Tyrese is questionable. Came back yesterday. His first game back, played 35 minutes. Had a very good game as well. If I had to guess, I would say he's probably out. I mean, first game back after missing a little while, plays 35 minutes on a back-to-back. I'd expect him to be out, but hey, we'll get this news before lock. We don't have to guess about that. CDome, I'll throw it over to you. Obviously, without Fox, you got to look at some of these Kings. Sabonis looks like a very good play. Davion Mitchell, I expect to slide in the starting lineup. Malik Monk, Barnes. I mean, you go all these Kings. Well, Kings are the story of the slate. One of the stories of the slate, obviously, without Fox. Then what are you seeing on the other side? If Tyrese is in, what does that mean? If he's out, who are you going to? Talk about this game, CDome. It's a good one.
Yeah, Sabonis's projection obviously is one of the best on the slate. It's also great as far as a point per dollar basis. He's garnering some of the most ownership tonight on this slate.
I hate to interrupt, but Gary said Hallie going to play. I don't know if he's guessing or did we get that news? I haven't seen that news. Maybe
I haven't seen it. I think that's just what he feels.
That's what he feels.
Yeah, with the revenge factor and stuff like that. So,
we'll get that news. Yeah, I didn't even mention the revenge against the Kings. We'll get that news, though. Gary thinks he plays. We don't have to speculate about it. We'll do if-then scenarios on the show. Sorry, though, to interrupt, CDome.
No. Sabonis is in a great spot. Obviously, Indiana has really struggled against centers and big men. We saw A. Davis go off last night against them. Tonight's no different. Sabonis should dominate this. He has a great projection on the point per dollar basis. He's a great spend up, in my opinion. He's getting a lot of ownership, one of the most highest ownerships on the slate, as is a couple other Kings. And that comes to Davion Mitchell. And I think the talk is going to be like, is there other areas we can go? Or is Davion Mitchell, he's going to get that run? Is he going to get, 25, 28 minutes? What does that look like tonight? Obviously, this could be a pace-up game as well, which, could bode favor for him. He's also dual eligible, which makes it hard to kind of shy away from. But I do think, like, if I had to choose between him and paying up a little bit more for Malik Monk, I would go Malik Monk. But then also, I guess the question is, like, how many Kings is too much? I think if there's a King that I do want to kind of shy away from, I think it's Kevin Huerter right now. I just think, like, the way his production has been, it's just non-existent. Now, does that change without Fox on the floor? I don't know. I think, if anything, maybe Keegan Murray probably gets a little bit of a boost, but he's someone too that you have to decide between him or Barnes in that price range if you feel like that's a good spot. And it seems like everyone's going Barnes when you have to make that decision. Aaron Nesmith's going to be another guy on the Pacers side that you're going to have to decide, is this another chalk play that you want to play? He's a better chalk play than a lot of other guys. He's going to have run on the floor. He's going to play a good quality of minutes. He's going to put up shots. He also plays great defense at times. So he's someone that is quote unquote a well-rounded piece of chalk. And I don't mind him whatsoever in this situation. I think we can shy away from, if Tyrese Halliburton does play, I do have interest solely based on the fact that I was surprised of how much run he did get last night. And then also, too, tonight's the revenge narrative. He's at home. He obviously has a chip on the shoulder against the Kings. Now, the first revenge narrative that came around didn't pan out the way that that people thought. So, but other than that, though, when it comes down to this, all these games are early that have really good plays, and you're going to have to make a lot of decisions early on. And so I'm curious to see what Nate Defy thinks in that situation.
Yeah, no, this game, I mean, first of all, if Tyrese plays, definitely sign me up for Tyrese. I don't think ownership will really be there. He played 35 minutes yesterday. I mean, if he plays, I would assume there's no risk that he's going to play another 35 minutes. I will mention, too, you brought up Kevin Huerter. So if you look at the last 4 games, I'm talking Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk. I would make a rule in tournaments to max one of them because they're fighting for minutes. Kevin Huerter's been bad the past 2 games. That's because Malik Monk has pretty much taken his minutes. Malik Monk has shot the ball really well. 8 for 13 last game, 9 for 14 the game before. So he played 31 and 32 minutes because he had the hot hand. Huerter only played 18 minutes. The 2 games before that, Monk only played 18 and 19 minutes, and Huerter played the low 30s minutes. So, yeah, I mean, the last 2 games, if the trend continues, Monk, if he stays hot, he's probably going to get the minutes. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day. Monk goes cold. Huerter starts off well. Huerter gets the 30 minutes, and Monk gets the 19. So I think setting a rule max of one of those guys in tournament makes some sense. Nate, if I'll go to you, how many Kings is too many? People are going to ask that question, obviously, without Fox. Talk about if-then with Tyrese. news. And yeah, talk about Neesmith as well. Absolutely nuked the slate, tilted a lot of people yesterday.
Yeah, so this game's interesting. A lot of chalk in this game. Sabres pushing between 2 and 4. Kings right now obviously makes sense, right? Fox, ton of usage there. Take him off the court. A lot of that usage is going to slide into either Terrence Davis or Davion Mitchell. Obviously, are going to slot into one of those, or possibly potentially even both of them are going to start. Obviously, whoever starts there, I kind of like more. Davion Mitchell at chalk, it kind of is a little scary. We've seen this before. The only issue is he's 3K flat, right? So the argument becomes, right, how bad can a 3K player hurt you, right? Especially at 80% ownership, right? It's one of those spots that kind of you just eat it, right, and move on. I like to differentiate at the top end versus the low end, right? You just got more pay up for probability kind of thing. Sabonis, absolutely incredible play. He hit every one of my I just ran 150 with my projections here, and he hit all 150 teams. So that just tells you how good of a play. Incredible matchup here. The Neesmith thing is interesting on the Indiana side because I didn't play him as chalk. He was projected like 30 to 40% the other night. Obviously the Knicks news, right, kind of changed that, and he came in like 16 to 20, right, which is he's a far better play at that percentage, right, on that slate because of the value, right? Everyone just jammed the Knicks guys in, and he ended up being on the optimal lineup, right? Because all that, it's crazy how fast ownership changes in NBA. So that's why it's so crucial to be in the Discord and to be by your computers. It's nice tonight that everything's kind of condensed, right? So you have an hour of screen time versus the last couple of nights. For me, it's been 2-3 hours of screen time, like going back and forth and running things. I'm probably off of Neesmith, especially if Halliburton's in. I just haven't played it, so I'm not going to jump on now. Because that's usually when the snowflake hits you in the face there. The Herder thing is interesting here because I think this is a pretty good flop leg spot for a guy like Kevin Herder, right? Everyone's going to slam in Monk. Monk's got a good projection. Everyone's got recency bias here in the NBA. And it could be Herder, right? That if he starts hitting, he's a shooter, right? And shooters can get hot at any time. The reason Monk has got the extended run is you nailed it, title, is because Herder couldn't hit a shot, right? And Monk came in, played well, and took his minutes. So I definitely give the lean there to Kevin Herder just at the ownership discount as well. It's a good flop leg spot there. I don't know if I'm going to get to either one of them. Harrison Barnes is going to be chalk. I just never like a Harrison Barnes chalk. I mean, he plays 40 minutes damn near every night and just does nothing with them. Like he doesn't have a ceiling. He's a great cash game kind of guy. Big T talks about it all the time, right? Harrison Barnes, how many times is he going to go out there and get you 50 DraftKings points, right? It's very rare. So I'm probably off there. My most interest here for sure is Sabonis. And then obviously if Halliburton plays, huge revenge factor there. It is a little scary, though, on the back-to-back, right? Coming off the injury, what does his minutes actually look like if he does play? His minutes could get cut down. But one guy here I think that's a little bit sneaky is Buddy Hield on the Pacers. He's a shooter. He can get hot. We've seen it. He has the ability to nuke a slate, has the revenge factor in his blood, too, here. So that's a nice little sneaky low-owned guy. You are paying for it, so he's one of those guys that his floor is very low and he can kill your lineup, but he can also win you a GPP. So definitely have some interest in Buddy Hield here as well.
Gary is just too sharp. News hit right on cue. Halliburton is available to play today. I was going to get in the next. Andrew Martinez was like, how do you rank the guys if Halliburton was out? Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. So, yeah, with Halliburton in, yeah, you can still play Buddy Hield for sure, I think. I mean, he's a shooter. If he gets hot, shooting guard, small forward eligibility will be low owned. You can still play Neesmith at 3.6K as well. Value there coming off the big game. I definitely like Tyrese in tournaments, so no doubt about that. And, yeah, I mean, we're talking revenge and all that. Sabonis, obviously revenge game too. This was the big blockbuster deal. Halliburton going to the Pacers. Sabonis was on the other way back. Someone asked, is this his first time coming back to Indiana? Oh, TJ, I thought you were going to say, is this first time playing Indiana, which definitely isn't. I don't know if it's first time coming back to Indiana. If someone in chat knows that, where he plays, I don't think really matters. But De'Aaron Fox is out. I mean, it could be any team. It doesn't have to be a revenge factor. Sabonis would be one of the top plays there. So just a little added boost. But man, yeah, this game, I'll throw it on one other name because, man, we're talking about all these Kings, Mitchell, Monk, Barnes, Herter, Sabonis. Keegan Murray, he hasn't been good at all as of late. He's very tilting. He usually plays mid-30s minutes, though, at 5.1K. If everyone's just going to play all these other Kings, I would take a discount ownership on Keegan Murray, get my 35 minutes. Hopefully he makes a couple shots, falls into some rebounds. But, yeah, I mean, if everyone's playing all these other Kings but Keegan Murray, I think Keegan Murray makes for a good play. One other name, I'll throw this one to you, CDome. Miles Turner, coming off a monster game yesterday, going to need a size against Sabonis. Price tag is up there a little bit, but what are your thoughts on him before he gets to the next game?
I think it would just be a pricing thing for me. Also too, I think for me, he might be on the floor, but he could easily get in foul trouble too. So that would be my concern, especially if with Fox off the floor, a lot more usage goes to Sabonis, putting Turner to work, trying to defend. I could see him easily getting foul trouble. He's gotten into foul trouble quite a bit throughout the season this year thus far. But also the center position, I think I just like other plays. And I think like with that price and his projection, it's just not in alignment with kind of my style of play. So it'd probably be a no for me.
Makes sense. Mr. Patrick Rice, thank you for that. It is Sabonis' first game back in Indiana. And Jordan, we don't want to give all the flow chart plays away, but yes, Keegan Murray is a flow chart play as well. You do love to see that. Let's keep it rolling, though. Third game on the slate, again, at 7 p.m. Eastern. 3 games at 7 today. Portland Trailblazers, Washington Wizards, 237 total. Washington is favored by 3.5. Going to the Portland side for injury news, Gary Payton's questionable. That doesn't mean much, but haven't really seen that name very often. Who else we got? Nurkic is going to be out to the All-Star break. I think Eubanks will start there. That's big news. Jeremy Grant should play. Going to the Washington side, they have no injury news over there. CDome, I'll go back to you in this one. Without Nurkic, Eubanks 3.8K. Is he someone you're looking at? Just center eligible, though. Dame 10.6 is a spend up. Anthony Simons 6.5. I think the Portland side's a lot more interesting than the Washington side, but what do you see in this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, anyone over 10% projected ownership right now is going to the Portland side. So Lillard, Eubanks, Simons, and Grant all getting love. I think Lillard's super interesting. He's been on a tear as of late. He's been playing very good. This is kind of a good spot for Portland too. For me though, I think when I look at it with Damian Lillard, if I'm looking at LaMelo Ball, it's like I can save some money, but it's a little bit more chalkier with LaMelo. Or I do like Trae Young and Van Fleet. So maybe tonight, like I can. It's like Nate, if I said like rotating out these bigger priced studs that you can like kind of fit in with guys that that are probably pretty good chalk or, quote unquote, like a free square and just get it different that way. So that's going to be something tonight that I look at. And then Eubanks is obviously he has a good projection given his salary at 3,800. I think the only question is for me, if I'm going to go cheap at center, that means I'm going to pay up at guard probably more than likely. I also do like a couple forwards tonight that are pricey. So that's going to probably be my roster construction. If I'm going cheap at center, then, I have to go elsewhere. But I do like Sabonis. Can I run Sabonis and Eubanks together? That's another question. And then Simons and Grant, when there's not, typically, if Lillard's on the floor with both of them, it just doesn't make sense for me with their price. I think I can shy away from that. I think there are other areas, Nate's if I said Alec Burks is a great mid-range price or a great mid-range play. It's probably, you're saving 1,100 in comparison to these guys. That makes a lot of sense. The projection's not quite off between those when you match them up to guys like, let's say, an Alec Burks. So I totally get that. But I think you could stay away from everyone else, really. I mean, the Washington side's not appealing to me whatsoever. So I think, for me, no. I think if you're going to go in this game and you're going to take pieces, I think it's going to come from the Portland side. And I think majority of those people who do, it's going to be between Lillard and Eubanks. And if so, maybe both of them. So that's kind of my take on this game.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, Dame, people are talking like Dame, one of the coldest dudes out there. Yeah, I mean, he is absolutely on fire. And ownership, I mean, he's not going to be low owned by any means, but he's definitely not the most popular spend. So I think he makes sense. Man, I'm looking at the Washington side, though, like someone saying Denny's been crushing for his price at 5K. Yeah, 39, 33, 31, 41. They're just so healthy, which is tough with Washington. They got Bradley Beal. They got Porzingis. Kuzma's healthy. That's what makes it a little difficult. But do you have a strong lean on any of these Washington guys Nate Defy and talk about Portland.
Yeah, so Washington, the only interest I really would have is a guy like possibly Porzingis, just for a contrarian kind of guy that has a ceiling, right? It's a little bit above average matchup here for him. Not too much interest though overall there. And Denny he's another one of those mid-range forward guys, right? Like we've seen the last couple of slates, right? Shooting guard, small forward has been pretty weak, right? So he fits that build of he's going to get the minutes, right? Rui's not there anymore. Rui's out in LA. So he's getting extended run, and it could be one of those things, right? Where obviously Rui's probably the better current player today, right now. But maybe Washington kind of looked at Denny, right, and said, we're going to take a chance on him and you develop him, right? And so that could be a little chip on his shoulder too. $5K is not a terrible price tag. He does have some upside there. Don't love it. But on the Portland side, it's really Dame or Eubanks here for me. Both are great plays. I think Dame is an incredible play. I mean, he's playing right around 40 minutes a game, his last 10 or so. And he's taken over 20 shot attempts in his last 5 games, chucking double-digit three-pointers as well. And I mean, he's always got the ability, right? Dame time to catch fire, break a slate. And so I definitely think he's a nice little pivot off the chalkier LaMelo for $900 more, right? Pay up for that lower ownership, pay up for that contrarian spend there. And another guy, Trenton Watford. So Eubanks is likely going to start. Watford will play that backup bigs minutes or any foul trouble, anything like that. Watford's going to get the extended run there. Kind of more of a 20 max or 150 play there for me. I don't know if I get there in a 3 max or a single entry, but definitely I would not X him out of your pool because he could fall into extended run, and he's going to get run either way, and he's 3,300, right, in the same matchup that Eubanks has. So that's pretty much the only interest in this game for me.
Yeah, someone asked me about Watford too. I think he's fine. Like you said, I would like him more. Like if I was thinking Eubanks was one of the most popular plays on the slate, which I don't think he is, but if he was, I would like Watford more because if Eubanks busts, foul trouble, Watford gets hot, extended run, etc., you're burying all those Eubanks lineups and you get the big jump there. He's going to get some ownership, but it's not going to be a 50% owned stuff. But yeah,
I definitely wouldn't play them together. I would definitely limit one of them, right? Because you're playing Watford, you're grabbing the ownership discount and you're hoping Eubanks gets in foul trouble or just is playing bad. Watford gets in his rotation, right? Kind of catches fire, gets extended run. So he's definitely going to eat into they both eat into each other. So it's definitely one or the other. And they're both still cheap, right? 3,800 starting center is still a very cheap price tag. That's obviously why the ownership is going there.
Yeah, no doubt. And then back just to the Denny point. I mean, he's going to be really low owned. If you have a lean on Denny and you want to play him for sure, it's just tough for me to click that button over to these Kings guys right in the same range. Since I know the minutes without Fox, you get a usage bump there. But I mean, Denny's going to be 10x or 10 times less owned than those Kings guys. So it makes sense for sure. But I'm not going to get to Denny personally. Not really going to get to any of these. I got one name, I guess I'll throw to you. Any thoughts on Daniel Gafford, Nate Defy? He didn't play last game, but man, before that, 51 piece, 29, 23, 30. Going to probably use it and need a size against Eubanks, against Wofford a little bit. Good point per minute guy. Again, they're healthy. It's tough, but any thoughts on him before we move on?
Yeah, I don't hate it, but I don't know if I get there, like I said, in a single entry or a 3 max. That's more of like an MME guy for me. He definitely does have the ceiling. Center is so tough. It's such a great position every night, especially tonight with some of these elite guys, right? And it's you can only play 2 of them, right? And that's if you play one in the utility, right? So it really takes some decision making in how lineups fall together. Obviously, not all the news is in yet. I haven't built a ton of teams, so I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely a contrarian guy that does have upside. I do see some decent metrics here on my chart for a guy like Gafford, but not my favorite.
Yeah, it reads. I mean, he's 6,100 on FanDuel. He's 4,800 on DK. I like looking at the sites. Of course, stocks. Gafford's a better FanDuel play with the stocks there. But anytime I see a big price decrease, a difference like that, think it's interesting to bring up. But yeah, Portland side definitely a lot more interesting in this spot. Grant, Lillard, and Eubanks are the 3 top plays in that game. We'll keep it rolling though. Over 600 watching, 255 likes. Let's get 335 likes. A random number I just came to the top of my head. Want to get you guys the plays of the day today. So 335 likes is what we need for the plays of the day. Martinez said, can you play Eubanks and Wofford together? No, Nate Defy touched on that, and I agreed with them. I would definitely max one on a slate like this for sure. We'll keep it rolling, though, to the next game. Only a game at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Phoenix Suns, Boston Celtics, 220 total. Boston is favored by 10.5. For the injury report on Boston, Marcus Smart is out tonight. Going over to the Phoenix side, Devin Booker's still out. Cameron Johnson's out tonight. Cameron Payne's still out. Landry Shamet is out as well. It's not a game I think too many people go to. It's not a game I have too much interest in. Low total, pretty big spread. CDome, I'll throw it to you. I'm not really seeing much.
Yeah, I mean, this game's kind of nasty from a DFS perspective, especially from like on a projection basis. Tatum's coming in at very low for what his price point is. And I think you can get to other areas outside of Jaylen Brown, even though I will say, if I'm playing, 20, 30 lineups, I think I'll have a share of Jaylen Brown. He has a flow chart play tonight too. So that kind of stands out. It's a good matchup for him. I think for me, I'm looking now, because of this Cam Johnson news, Josh Okogie is getting a significant bump in ownership. And, obviously I have to redo a few things, but he's the minimum price, $3K, shooting guard, small forward. That could help out the ownership elsewhere. I don't know how I feel about it, but I will say, though, when it comes to kind of just defensively, when it comes to small forwards, stretch fours, I do have a lean on Torrey Craig a little bit. I know that might sound gross, but, the minutes will be there. He's 4,200. I will be rotating out, quite a few cheap guys tonight. And when it comes to the forward spot, him and Olynyk kind of stand out to me. In this regard. So I think I will look at him in a GBP play, but anything else though, I'm going to have to go back to now and see kind of this Okogie situation, but I'm not really seeing anything that stands out, nor is it a game that I really want to attack, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's a slate for coach. People are talking about Davion Mitchell is starting for Fox like we expected. Man, if you click that Okogie over Davion Mitchell, you got some stones on you. Ownership will obviously be a lot less, but they still got Saban Lee there, who they just extended his 10-day, I think. Ish Wainwright's still there. Damian Lee's still there. They just got, I think, enough bodies that it's cluttered. I don't know. This game's kind of gross to me. Jaylen Brown would be my favorite play too. Like you said, CDome, 8.8K. Tatum at 11K. Yeah, you can always play Tatum. He can nuke any slate, but 11K is up there. I would rather take the $2,200 savings. He's going to be very low owned. I'm not sure. I'm not probably going to get there, but for GPPs, I think it's interesting. Not a game I really like, though. Nate Defy, what do you see?
Yeah, I think this is a game that you can pretty comfortably cross off here. Obviously, you can, if I'm going here, the only 2 guys that I would even consider playing is Tatum, one, because his upside, his ceiling, right, is always there, regardless of the matchup. It's not the worst matchup, not the best matchup here against Phoenix. Another thing too, Phoenix just absolutely got smoked last game, and Boston, I think, is coming off a blowout, but they were on the positive side of that blowout, right? So both of these teams are coming in off of shortened minutes due to blowout. So a guy like Jaylen Brown is probably my favorite play in this game, but overall, I'm not doing the Josh Okogie thing. There's just too many other good plays here, and it's still going against Boston, right? I could see Boston blowing this Suns team out here as well, right? Boston's one of the best teams in the league. It's a pretty easy cross off for me.
I was going to say, it's wild. They played each other earlier this year. This was in Phoenix. And I don't remember if it was a blowout or not, but Okogie played 23 minutes. He had 43 DraftKings points.
The most he's ever put up in his career.
Yeah, probably, bro. So I'm thinking people are going to see that probably. And I wouldn't be surprised if his ownership's even higher, but
yeah, it's 42.8.
Yeah, it's just a nasty situation. I mean, if everyone flocks to Okogie and that kind of takes away from like Neesmith per se, because they're the same dual eligible spot. If Neesmith's coming in at 10, 11%, like I'm going to be a buyer 100%. I don't know how you feel about Nades.
Yeah, so last game it was a blowout. Celtics won 125-98. So he could have got extended run there. I mean, that 23. I haven't looked at the popcorn.
I mean, it had to have been. There's no way.
I have. Yeah. So that probably all came in the fourth quarter.
TJ just said it was.
Yeah, he probably played the whole fourth quarter against the Boston Scrubs, and he was probably just chucking. So I don't know, on an 8-game slate with crazy good value from Sacramento and some of these other teams. I mean, could you keep them in your 150 pool or CDome? You usually run like 20 to 30 lineups a night. You could, right? Because he's min price, and he could get blowout run here again, right? But yeah,
that was the Dwayne Washington night. So they were missing a bunch of bodies that too, so. Yeah. I will mention one other guy. TJ brought him up earlier, and I was looking at him. I wasn't sure I was gonna, but Robert Williams at 5.4K. They came out before the last game, said he doesn't have a minutes restriction anymore. Of course, he only played 19 because it was a blowout. But man, if you're giving me 30 minutes of Robert Williams at this price tag, if he gets 30 minutes, he will be a 6K player. I mean, especially on FanDuel with the stock upside. But he's so active. He has a lot of upside. No one on Phoenix, and Dario Saric ain't guarding him. Jock Landale ain't guarding him. They're not keeping him off the board. So, yeah, I think Robert Williams is interesting. He actually would probably be my favorite in this game for GPPs.
He's got the best value projection for me with my projections. I typically don't like to include much under 5X projection, right? Because I'm a 2-lineup guy a night. And he does stand out to me as potential. That's a good call out. I definitely missed that because he is getting his full run now. And
we
he's
hope.
50. Well, yeah.
If they said that, out, we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. 5,400 is not bad. It's just center's so loaded that it's tough to play those fringe guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why the ownership will be down there. And at the end of the day, Robert Williams puts up 45 with the flame emoji and is on the winner. I don't think anyone is surprised about that. So that's the Celtics and Phoenix, probably the worst game on the slate. I think that if you got to just fully X out one game, I think that's the game you could feel pretty good about it. We'll keep it moving, though. We'll get to the next game on the slate. Philadelphia 76ers, San Antonio Spurs, 234 total. Philly is favored by 10.5. Joel Embiid is questionable in this one. This game is at 8 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully we get the news before lock. He's been questionable for a while, though. He's played his last 4 games. Going back to the Spurs side, the Kings are a story of the slate, and the Spurs are a story of the slate because Devin Vassell's still out, Romeo Langford's out, and then Jeremy Sochan and Trey Jones both got hurt last game, and they're also going to miss today. People are going to go to the Spurs and the Kings when it comes to value. Josh Richardson, Malike Branham, people probably don't know who that is. I'm not very familiar with them, but the dude played 19 minutes in the second half at 3.6K once Trey Jones and Jeremy Sochan went down. I think he makes a lot of sense. Jakob Poeltl, I mean, all these Spurs. But the thing is, it doesn't matter how good of a spot they're in. Pop can pop you at any day, and all the chalk could go down. So, Nadesify, I'll start with you in this one. So Spurs, some chalk. I mean, we know the story of this, but they're missing a lot of important guys. I mean, break it down and anything on the other side you like.
Yeah, it's always tough to get popped, especially on an 8-game slate, right? It happened to me with Sochan. Obviously, he got injured right the other night. That was unfortunate, especially for a guy Gary. Would have fully shipped everything he was in with. He was up in the top 10 with a 1.25 from Sochan. Luckily, I played 2 teams, so I only had him on one. But yeah, Malachi Branham, he's 3,600. He might slide into the starting lineup here. He played a ton in that second half. And he was chucking. So he's 3,600. Josh Richardson is going to project. He projects as one of the highest values, if not the highest value, especially you can play him at that shooting guard position that seems like everyone is going to pay down at shooting guard. So when we get into some of these other games coming up here, it's definitely a roster construction thing that I think you can talk about because everyone's playing these shooting guard values from the Kings and from the Spurs. So that's going to, it comes down to roster construction, and you really have to take into account if you're plugging in Josh Richardson and Davion Mitchell and Harrison Barnes and right, you're just coming into the same roster construction everyone else is, right? And in tournaments, I don't like to be on a 1v1 or a 2v2 pivot. You just have far less outs to the top. But Josh Richardson, great play. Branham, obviously a great play. The interesting thing is Joel Embiid versus James Harden. This could be a spot here where Embiid just says, Harden, you got your all-star snub, right? Go out there and do your thing. I'm going to take a night off. I showed the league why I think I should have been a starter, right, in this popularity contest. Now you go do your thing, right? We obviously don't have that news yet. We'll get that news. We'll be in the Discord breaking it down. But if Embiid plays, I mean, man, it's Embiid versus Spurs. You have to it's tough to project a blowout, right? It's just, I never like doing it in NBA just because we've seen it so many times, right? Where you project a blowout and the blowout flips the other way, right? But it's hard for me to imagine these Spurs on the back of Keita Bates and Malachi Branham and Zach Collins and Josh Richardson are going to keep this close against Joel Embiid and James Harden, right? Obviously, if Embiid sits, Harden's a great play. He's going to do everything, even in 3 quarters, right? He can get his triple-double. If they're both in, I do have some moderate interest in Embiid. I don't know if I get there in 2 or 3 lineups, but definitely in 20 max or MME. You can't X him out of the pool. He sims the best on the slate for me in terms of upside. The only issue is if the game blows out, right, that caps his upside and other guys can get there. So definitely Spurs, great value plays. And I typically like to eat some of this chalk value, like I said earlier, and differentiate at the top just because everyone's projection based, right? And these projections play into points per minute and stuff like that. And good value is good value at the end of the day most of the time. So that's where I'm at. Embiid, contrarian spend, Harden, contrarian spend overall. Not too much else.
Yeah, I hope we get this new. Like, why would Embiid play at the end of the day? They do not need him to
It's the Spurs. Yeah, it's the Spurs.
If he does play, yeah, I'm the same way with you. I hate predicting blowouts. I see 10.5, the same as Boston, Phoenix. Like, if it's a 10-point game in the fourth quarter, like Joel Embiid's going to be playing. But man, it is tough for me to see this game staying close, especially if Embiid does play. No one's stopping him.
Yeah, one call out, Jakob Poeltl. That price tag is very tasty for him. We've seen what he can do. The only issue is Embiid plays. It's a very, very tough matchup. If Embiid sits, though, like that's a very good price tag because you have to think if an Embiid sits, this game is going to stay fairly close, right? These Spurs kept the game close against the Nuggets and Jokic for the whole game outside the last 2 minutes, right? And we've seen I had Joker that night put up like 70 something or whatnot. The only issue is these Sixers have a better second unit in my opinion than the Denver Nuggets do. So I don't think the game is going to stay close if all these guys play for sure.
Yeah, and if Embiid plays, you can definitely play him. I mean, he can get there in 3 quarters. He was nuking at half last game, I believe it was, and fell apart in the second half. Keldon Johnson is another name. I'll throw this one to you, CDome. Talk about Keldon Johnson the rest of this game. Keldon Johnson, I don't see much ownership there. Everyone's going value Spurs, 7.3K, the best player for them. I mean, if this game stays close, like if I played Embiid, I think I'd want to play a guy like Keldon Johnson, assuming this game's close because Keldon went off, maybe Josh Richardson, and loaded up that way. So thoughts on the value Spurs, Keldon, Embiid, if-then scenarios, break it down.
Yeah, I think like one easy thing for me is I can look at Keldon Johnson and look at his projection. I can look at like a Jeremy Grant who's 1,000 cheaper and has the same projection. And so that just really helps me identify like that price on a point per dollar basis is just not appealing to me, nor is it attractive. And rostering Keldon Johnson would make lineup construction a little bit rather difficult. So I think that would probably be a no for me. First starting off with, Embiid, he's most likely to exceed expectations tonight out of all the studs and really exceed his projection and then some. So if he does play, I think it is I don't know if it'll be contrarian. He will garner ownership, but I think he's one of the best studs on the slate. Absolutely. He should smash here. But if he doesn't, Harden is also in a great spot. And, that is something that you're going to have to decide and maybe like leave some space open for Harden and his salary, because without Embiid, I do think they do keep it relatively close to some extent, but San Antonio doesn't play defense. Harden should smash here. He's in a great spot. They struggle against guards. So for me, I would give a significant bump to Harden. He already has a pretty good projection based on his price. It's only going to get better if Embiid does end up sitting. Spurs value plays super interesting. Zach Collins is getting ownership, but Podol, is someone that if Embiid doesn't play, I totally agree with that. I already kind of love Podol to begin with, and taking the risk on the fact that if Embiid does play, Podol does have to guard and he could get into foul trouble. I get that. But I mean, his projection, relative to his price is just superior to a lot of other people in his range. And we're talking about, quite a bit of people in that 5K mid-range. So I love that. I love that play. The Josh Richardson thing is just so kind of annoying. And we talked about this earlier in Discord. This Malachi Branham, if you've kind of played any Spurs as of late, you've seen what Pop has done with the rotation. And I will say, though, he does like Branham. And if anyone just knows this kid, he was pretty solid. He was All-American at Ohio State. The kid can shoot. I think he shot 50% from the field for his career. He's like a 40-something% three-point shooter. Tonight without SoCam, this is a huge bump for him. And what I love about this is that no one's really given him love as far as the public is concerned. We saw and kind of got a glimpse of what he can be in that Sacramento matchup. Went 9 of 13, shot 3 of 5 from 3. He's a raw scorer. Now, if he gives you some rebounds and some assists, that's a great play at 3,600. So point guard, shooting guard, dual eligible. He's a nice little pivot from Richardson. If you want to get cute with it, I don't mind it whatsoever. These are decisions that are going to have to be made. I don't think I'm playing more than one Spur. It just doesn't really make sense to me. But outside of that, I'm looking at Tobias. It's a no-go. Isaiah Roby's getting a little bit of love. I just don't think I can go there. I think when I look at it in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to focus on Harden. I'm going to focus on Podol and Embiid. And then, Malachi Branham for sure. And Richardson, I'm going to have to decide, what does ownership look like? How are we feeling with roster construction? So if I'm playing 20, 30 lineups, and he fits, that's fine. But I don't mind Branham either.
So the Richardson thing's interesting to me, right? Because he is 4,800, right? It's still cheap, but it's not like the 3K price tag, right? So you do need him to get 25 to 30, right? Minimum to try to in cash. Will he hurt you? Probably not. But are you shipping with Josh Richardson if he gets you 25? Probably not, right? At 4,800, with some of those other guys that are within a couple hundred of him. At the same position. So that is one thing to take into account that's interesting. You do have to, if he's coming in at, I haven't looked at updated ownership here, but if he's coming in mega chalk, right, that is something you do need to consider, because that is a guy that does have a floor, right? And if he doesn't get you that, it's going to be tough to get all the way up to the top, which obviously is your goal in GPPs.
Yeah, he definitely will be one of the higher owned players, but the dude's going to have a 28%, 30% usage rate at 4.8K. His starting point guard. Yeah. He's chalk for a reason, no doubt about it. We got 3 games left, though. We've been diving.
One more thing about this game, because we have been talking about if Embiid sits. What does that lead as far as Montrezl Harrell at 4,500? Because centers and bigs, really do destroy San Antonio. So the question is if Embiid sits, does this now all of a sudden, does he become a strong value play? Because I think that's going to, it's going to come into consideration. It's going to be talked about, because if he does start, he gets 25, 30 minutes, let's say, the upside is there. So 4,500 Montrezl Harrell, I guess you got to think about it if we're talking about Embiid potentially sitting.
Yeah, the last time Embiid sat against the Kings, Montrezl played 33 minutes, 30 DK points, was really efficient from the field. But yes, what Jordan's saying, we got to pick this show up. We got 3 games left, up to lock shows in 10 minutes. Cape Alex going to yell at me. So we'll break it down as usual. We need that like button, 335 for the plays of the day. But yeah, we got to pick it up to get the up to lock show on time. Next game on the slate, 3 games left. Toronto Raptors, Houston Rockets, 223.5 total. Toronto is favored by 8. On the Toronto side, OG is not playing. He's going to be traded any day probably. As far as the Houston side, Jabari Smith is questionable. KPJ is out. Jalen Green is also out. Throw it over to you, Nadesify. Obviously, Fred VanVleet's been a hero, absolutely crushing. As far as Houston side, no Jalen Green, no KPJ, Eric Gordon, Deshaun Nix, KJ Martin. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, Fred VanVleet's probably my favorite play of the slate. I just been riding him. That 8.3K price tag is too cheap in my opinion, especially in a matchup against Houston. So I absolutely love him. I'm really off Siakam. It's just Mangone talked about it earlier on the bet show. With Precious being in there, it's hurt his upside in kind of overall usage, and that's why Fred VanVleet's kind of picking up more of that steam. So definitely don't like that much. Precious at 6,100. He's a fine play. I don't know if I get there. That price tag continues to rise. Deshaun Nix obviously smashed last game, got the price increase here. He's projecting really well. He's a fine value play. Don't love it. And then a guy that's a MME guy for me would be Chris Boucher, just because he's a fantasy point per minute monster. If he gets any sort of extended run against Houston here, he could absolutely smash. So that's pretty much all I got here for interest.
Yep, good breakdown. CDome, what you got in this one?
I mean, I love this game. I love this game a lot. Just to make it quick, Lauri Markkanen is probably one of my favorite plays on the slate tonight. Forwards, stretch fours, just absolutely.
We're talking Toronto, Houston.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I was so hyped to talk about.
You're going with the Saber sim order. I see.
There was someone in chat chirping. You were too busy worried about him. He's on a timeout.
No, that's what happened, bro.
I know. I saw you.
All right, so just pull this back a little bit. I really like Fred VanVleet tonight. He's popping a lot when it comes to running the optimizer. He's probably going to be a primary focus for me. He's also on AP's flow chart. As you know, we've been like really looking at that and having it coincide with projections and kind of where we're at. I love him tonight. 8,300, great projection. Don't mind it whatsoever. But outside of that, I think I'm going to shy away from everything else. Sengun's 9K now, and I think we saw the risk of rostering him, especially at high prices right now. I just don't think this is the right move right here. Also, too, Toronto's got a lot of great big men. You got Siakam, you got Chris Boucher, you got Precious. I'm just not going to go there. So just to keep it short and sweet, Fred VanVleet, I think he should be a good priority tonight, especially if you're multi-entering. But outside of that, I have no love for anything else.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet for sure. I think Aaron Gordon, Deshaun Nix. I think the backcourt for Houston, now that they're thin without Jalen Green, KPJ, makes some sense as well.
Yeah.
2 games left on the slate. Orlando Magic, Minnesota Timberwolves, 229.5 total. Timberwolves are favored by 4.5. On the Timberwolves side, Bryn Forbes questionable, Taurean Prince questionable, but the big one, Rudy Gobert, is questionable. Missed last game, Nas absolutely smashed. This game's at 8 p.m. Eastern, so you're going to probably want a spot for Nas if he does start. As far as Orlando, they are completely healthy. Nades with 5, throw it to you. If then with Gobert, talk about like Paulo, Wendell Carter, Franz. What do you got on Orlando?
Yeah, this game's interesting to me here. Anthony Edwards is that kind of contrarian spend up at that guard position, that shooting guard, small forward position that everyone's paying down for, right? Pay up for contrarian and pay up for a ceiling there. So don't hate that, but it's all going to reside on if Rudy sits, right? Naz Reid's a stone cold, slam him in your lineup. We saw it last time. So it's definitely hard to break it down right now without that news. Paulo, that's a very good price tag on Paulo at 6.8K here. So definitely like him. Kyle Anderson's projecting really well. Sims out pretty well for me. The only issue is I just always have a hard time playing this guy. But if Rudy does miss, he definitely gets increased usage, increased upside. He's showing it on the year. He's 5,700, so wouldn't hate that. Markelle Fultz, Jalen, some of these guys are projecting pretty decent. I don't know if I get there. I hate playing guys like Markelle Fultz and Jalen Suggs, right? Because you just never know who's going to get the run. But yeah, a lot of interest in Paulo. That price tag is pretty cheap. And then obviously Naz Reid becomes probably a stone lock for me if Gobert's out here.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, if Gobert's out, gets a big bump there. Anthony Edwards been playing good ball as well. He makes sense, the contrarian spend. Paulo's price good. What do you got in this one, CDome, Orlando and the Timberwolves?
Yeah, I mean, Gobert, I might have some interest in if he does play, but if he doesn't, then obviously that once again opens up the floodgates for Naz Reid. So just one thing to kind of keep open. I mean, Nate's right. Like a lot of guys are popping and projecting pretty damn well. Markel Fultz is in a great spot tonight. So is Jalen Suggs, though, off the bench. Jalen Suggs is getting an uptick in minutes. He's relatively cheap. I could see people putting him in as a value play. It makes sense. He does pop in the optimizer when you're running it. I get it. Outside of that, though, Paolo, his price continues to come down. The minutes are there. The volume is there. Ownership's going to be there as well. You know, I just don't want to go crazy with following the trend of being on so many Magic with so many others. So it's just a really, sticky area. But I will say, though, Franz Wagner, he's 6K. He's someone that probably will have interest if you're running multiple lineups. I get it. And then, when I look at it, Nate's Five made a great point, though. Kyle Anderson's in a great spot. I think the thing we worry about with Anderson, I'm not necessarily worried about Gobert. I'm worried about the foul trouble. Very aggressive on the defensive side. We've seen a couple times lately, he's been getting into foul trouble. It really just takes away from really the upside that he can't provide. But he does pop great tonight when you run the optimizer. So he is someone that I think should be looked at and should be considered. He's 5,700. What I love about, the slow-mo tonight is not many people are going to him. And so that's probably a night where I maybe will pay that 5,700 price tag, if it does fit. And last but not least, like Anthony Edwards, I got to tell you, like I'm going to have to look at him tonight. He does have a pretty good projection. And I will say he's one of the guys tonight that are most likely to exceed projection based on his price and have upside. So this game, has fantasy pieces. How much you want, I mean, is up to you. But I think you have to consider some pieces here in this game. Absolutely.
Yeah, the Raptors, Rockets, and Orlando Timberwolves game. I don't think there's too much ownership on it. Fred VanVleet, maybe some Paulo, a couple here and there, but the Spurs and Kings are where a lot of people are going to go. We got one game left, though. K Fallick's already going to yell at me. 5 minutes, K Fallick. 4:05, we'll be out of here for you, but we got to touch on this last game. And also, JT said, hit the like for Nadefy hopping on. We appreciate Nadefy jumping on. 3:35, you guys are going to get it. Last game, get you the plays of the day, then the Up to Lock show. Just going to maybe a couple more less minutes. Messing around. Sorry about that. I'll take the blame, K Fallick. Last game, Atlanta Hawks, Utah Jazz, 242 total. Utah is favored by 1.5. No injury news on both sides. Highest total on the slate, though, CDome. You said you loved it. Break it down for us.
Yeah. I guess we'll just focus on the main guy that I want to talk about, Lauri Markkanen, in a great spot, dual eligible tonight. He shows up a lot in the optimal lineup. I mean, like when I run it, he's one of the guys that are showing up the most. I will say tonight, when you look at this matchup, you look at the Hawks, they really struggle against stretch fours, man. Like this can be a smash spot for him. And I will say what I've started to do lately too is when I see certain teams that struggle in certain areas, and I think the Eason play the other night is a great thing because everyone wanted to go to Jabari, didn't focus on Eason. I think people should focus behind Lauri as well and focus on Kelly Olynyk. And maybe potentially focus on a Jared Vanderbilt as well. Vanderbilt obviously has changed a lot with this rotation going from starting to now being on the bench. But I will say Kelly Olynyk as a cheap piece, he's also, you can put him in power forward spot at 4K. I don't mind it. He has a very great projection tonight. As you know, they struggle deeply against big guys. This is a smash spot for Markkanen, for Olynyk. So just keep that in consideration. And then on the Atlanta side, got to give Trae Young love. When it comes to him and Melo, they're going neck and neck right now for like really good projection based on their salary. This is a great spot for him. Utah cannot guard point guards whatsoever. So have to look at him, have to consider him. Same thing for Dejounte Murray. I know it's tough to kind of play Dejounte and these guys like when they're both on the floor or they're both starting, but at the end of the day, though, this is a very great matchup for them. This should be a pace-up game, believe it or not. And I will say, like, these guys can smash tonight. So looking at this, I love both the guards from Atlanta. And I, keep in tune with these big men from Utah because I think they all project very well, but they're also in great smash spots. And it's a late-night hammer, too. So I think we could see some winning pieces from this game tonight at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, great break to highest total on the slate. A lot of good prices in it. I would max one of Trae and Dejounte, but I think they are both in play. outside of marketing, this game doesn't look to be getting too much ownership. Nadefy, take it away for us.
Yeah, this game's definitely interesting. I'm with CDome on Laurie. I think he's a great kind of spend up there at the forward position. He's shown incredible upside on the year. Gets a nice, obviously, pace up spot here. Highest total on the board. Late night hammer. Great play. Definitely one of Trae Young or DeJounte Murray are going to smash here. The only issue is it's tough to project who's going to do it. I lean Trae Young. But it's definitely limit max of one, because usually if one goes off, the other one is taking a back seat, right? And his production gets hurt quite a bit. Walker Kessler, I don't know. People are probably going to chase his last game. I think he had like 8 blocks or something in that game. Absolutely nuked the slate at no ownership. He's 5,800. He's got talent. He's a good player. If you want to go there, I think it's fine if you land on a last piece at 5,800, right? Because he's showing upside. But that a lot of that is baked in with his blocks last game, right? Overall, I think I don't know if I get to either Vanderbilt or Olynyk here, just because I'm a 2 lineup guy. Definitely would just side with marketing, and most of my spots are probably going to be filled by this time too. But I definitely don't mind either DeJounte, Trae, or Laurie here for sure.
Absolutely. That is all 8 games. We got 2 minutes, so I don't get yelled at by K-Phallic again. Plays the day. You guys got it done for us. We appreciate it. I'll start with myself first with the SO play of the day. I'm going to go someone I'm seeing under 5% owned. Someone in chat talked about him, so I had to dig in a little more. Give me Robert Williams at 5.4K as the SO play of the day. Anytime you get a 2% guy, it looks like a lot of chalk on this slate. You need that differentiator. He's got a bunch of upside, no minutes limit. Hope the game stays close, but Robert Williams, the SO play of the day. Now we're going to go to CDome for the carbonated wine play of the day. Who do you got for us, CDome?
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm going to stick with this last game, Lauri Markkanen. I'm just going to stamp my sign of approval. I love attacking Atlanta with really good stretch fours. And it's like Nadefy said, he's shown a lot of upside this year. He can easily get hot tonight at home, pace up spot. I think there's going to be a lot of volume from him. Absolutely. And then my sub play of the day, Malachi Branham. All right, I'm done.
There we go. Absolutely love it, C-Dome. We don't have a name for the play of the day yet. We'll have to find that. People saying substitute teacher play of the day. Nadefy's a full-time guy, though. Nadefy, who do you got for us?
Yeah, maybe if you started the show on time here and didn't forget to hit the go live button, we'd be on time, and Phallic wouldn't get pissed off here. But yeah, I got to go back to my guy Fred VanVleet, 8,300. I'm seeing under 20% ownership on him at that price tag. I can see him dropping another 50 ball at least here. Absolutely love him, and he's going to be a staple in my lineups tonight.
I love it. And yes, we were on for 5 minutes talking and I didn't hit live. So that is definitely on me. We're going to get on out of here, though. Like button on the way out. We appreciate it. JT15 gets you 15% off if you're not a member. Head over to Run Pure Sports. Get in the live show chat now. You can listen to K-Phallic chirp me. That's going to do it, though. For Nadefy, C-Dome, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody. I got to hit show credit. Boom.